Good morning, family. Blessings to you all. Praises to the Most High. Honor unto His Son, Yeshua, and unto the Holy Spirit, the Ruach. I want to bring to you this morning a Hebrew nugget. I was actually just waking up, and I turned my phone on, and this information with Dick Gregory that you're about to see in a bit. He's being interviewed by this news reporter from Al Jazeera. And it's actually when Dick Gregory was 81 years old. And he's saying some significant things. He's sharing some insights about John Brown. Never heard of him. Never heard of him at all. But now one will find out why. He was standing in the gap for black people, so-called black people. He's a white man who was hung on a tree. And I'm just going to go down a little further here. And it says here his birth date, 1800s of May the 9th. He died in the year 1859, December the 2nd. And he was one, like I said, who advocated, for blacks. And he, as you see here, his cause of death was execution by hanging. So I was surprised that Dick Gregory did not mention Martin Luther King in the spill, because he marched with Martin Luther King Jr., but he said that this man, stood out to him, and you'll hear his spill as far as what he says in this video. So I just wanted to share. Didn't know if you all ever knew this, and never knew of a white man being hung, but you see why. So I'm going to move now to the video, and you're going to hear a key part here. What I want you to hear, that is a Hebrew nugget. So I'm going to play this video for a bit. I'm not going to play it in its entirety. But I just, like I said, again, I wanted to share family Hebrew nugget on this morning.
Of a young fella being cut down on the street by a policeman. What's going on in Ferguson? You grew up in St. Louis and around there.
Well, I've always told people that if you ever go to St. Louis, you got to sit your watch back for 3 hours. That's how far back St. Louis is. I mean, here's a town that used to be mostly white, and now 70% black. White mayor, white police chief. Anything important is white. Anything important is white. Police department with 53 blacks. So got to be something wrong before you got to that, And now what I see is horrible coming out of there, because you wake up one morning and they tell you about this person's been shot. And you look at it, and then later the police chief showed the picture. He laid there for 4 hours, 4.5. Anytime there's a call that go out, shooting, cop, they don't know if the cop's in trouble. They sent all kind of equipment there. Nobody showed up. He lay there 4.5 hours. Then the cop just disappeared. Where he disappeared to, The real black folks are saying, where'd they take him? Now, I can understand why you can't get a prosecutor to prosecute, because white prosecutors live in all white areas, and they got to go get reelected every 4 years. They ain't about to go reelected every 4 years after putting a white cop in jail for killing a black.
No, but I don't want to miss this point, because I think a lot of Americans don't understand the lack of trust, the lack of credibility of institutions, day-to-day institutions.
Yeah.
And in years of working as a street reporter, I have had black people tell me they don't believe anything from the police crime lab, from the lips of the mayor, from the head of the school board. An alternate narrative comes from the street time and time again. Why?
One of the things I see different in this, and I've been in all of them, I got shot in Watts, is you got black folks now saying it's a conspiracy. What? Well, because the guy in New York, okay, right after the woman get beat up by the state trooper, so they never seen him come this close, so they think there's more to it than what it is.
Right now in Ferguson, there are people talking about recalling the mayor or replacing him in the next election, doing something about that 6%, 7% turnout among black folks in Ferguson. Is that part of the answer? It sounds like you have so little trust that even if they put in a new council, a new school board, a new mayor, that won't even be a help.
If the president of the United States go to New York tonight by himself,
now he's talking about when Obama was in the seat.
Most powerful man in the world. Now, the problem with that, they had a black mayor. It didn't change. Didn't change. And it's simple to change. All you gotta do is put some decoy cops out there and a camera. And the minute that cab pass you and you see it, pull them over just like they do when they give you a speeding ticket. And then suspend their license for 3 weeks. And you do it again forever. You don't have to go through no whole bunch of changes to do that. It's that simple.
But look at how far the conversation, what we think of as the conversation, has come since you got into the struggle. Aren't we better off as a country?
Not at all. Not at all. It's gone from physical to mental. It's a mental thing now. The South have always said they don't care how close I get. Well, you can't own me as a slave, and I'm not living in the same piece of land you live on, as long as you don't get too big. Up north, they say they don't care how big I get, as long as I don't get too close. And that's there. I mean, my hero, number one, would be John Brown. Not Jesus, not all this other stuff, because John Brown got us sitting here now. He changed everything. With the greatest movement in the history of man is the Abolitionist movement. Do you know black folk couldn't belong to it? Here's white folk gonna go out, kill for me, die for me. That was Frederick Douglass' biggest problem. He couldn't be part of the abolitionist movement because they say black folks are too childlike. That hasn't changed yet. Still the same.
So even Frederick Douglass, friend of some of the most prominent Americans of his day, a co-signatory of the Seneca Falls Declaration, one of the most stirring writers of the second half of the 19th century,
taught himself how to read when he got out of slavery. He couldn't belong. He couldn't belong. And the reason the whole thing changed is John Brown. December the 2nd, where I go now, is Charleston, Virginia. The tree that they hanged him is still there. I just go hug the tree. They tried him, sentenced him. And so on the 2nd, when they hanged him, I go to that courthouse right where he walked out, walked to the street, turned left, walk 3 blocks, turn right, walk 3.5 blocks, and there's the tree. Okay? And what did he say? He said, you got anything to say before we hang? If what I'm hanging for had I done for rich white folks, I'd be your hero. But last night I talked to God. God told me to tell you, the Negro slave is going to be free, but it's going to be the biggest bloodbath in the history of the planet.
Well, he was right about that.
Wow. So that was a nugget right there, family. I've listened to many Dick Gregory videos, very, very knowledgeable. Came up in a time where time was really, really rough. And at the age of 81, he see that it did not change that much. And we have to know and understand that our redemption comes from the Almighty and Yeshua. I know he mentioned that he's not into, Jesus Christ and all. And I truly believe that, Dick Gregory was someone who was up on knowing the truth. about, who we were as a people. So the name Jesus Christ, he knew that wasn't, and I'm just taking in stride. I haven't heard him ever talk about not having the faith, but I just wanted to put that forth. As someone said, well, he don't even believe in this. But the nugget I want you to get in the midst of it is that what the Almighty told John Brown, who I have never heard of until this morning. I'm 53 years old. And in the spill, the interviewer is saying people don't talk about him much. Why? He was actually hung just like Yeshua. He was hung like our Hebrew brothers and sisters this day is hung. And I know that there were ones that who marched and who lost their lives, from, I was assuming gunfire or beatings, but I never knew that anyone who was white that was hung on a tree, and just to see his background. So, family, I just wanted to share this nugget with you all on this morning to let you know that way back then the Almighty had shared something special with John Brown, that, we will be freed. And in doing so, there will be a bloodbath across the whole planet. That's what he said. So, again, this one who's interviewing him saying, oh, yeah, well, that's right. So I'm going to go back to that just a little bit. And
taught himself how to read when he got out of slavery. He couldn't belong. He couldn't belong. And the reason the whole thing changed is John Brown. December the 2nd, where I go now, is Charleston, Virginia. The tree that they hanged him is still there. I just go hug the tree. They tried him, sentenced him. And so on the 2nd, when they hanged him, I go to that courthouse right where he walked out of, walked to the street, turned left, walked 3 blocks, turn right, walk 3.5 blocks, and there's the tree. Okay? And what did he say? He said, you got anything to say before we hang? Yeah. If what I'm hanging for had I done for rich white folks, I'd be your hero. But last night I talked to God. God told me to tell you, the Negro slave is going to be free, but it's going to be the biggest bloodbath in the history of the planet.
Well, he was right about that. Yet we don't teach.
So, family, again, just wanted to replay that again for you. Stay encouraged. Get close to the Almighty and seek Him for what He wants you to do as a will that He has placed of your life. Let His will be done. Let His will be done. And that's all I have. Just wanted to share this Hebrew nugget on this morning. Blessings, family. Shalom.